The most powerful force on earth is a human soul on fire. You have a deep ache in your soul for something more, to come alive, to let your passion pour from you like an endless well. When your passion comes alive, the magnificence buried deep inside of you is unleashed. Gifts and talents you never realized surface as your life unfolds like poetry. You can do hard things. I can show you how. This is Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, where I teach you how to heal yourself from the inside out. Hey everyone, Erin here. So this podcast is so special. I was able to get an interview with Poornima Sharma, who is the director of the retreats at the Art of Living Retreat Center, director of the programs there. And she's an Ayurvedic counselor. She has so much wisdom and love to share with everyone that our conversation went well over an hour, and I am just smitten by her. You could just tell how passionate she is about her work. So I hope that you really enjoy these two podcasts. I did break them up into two, and so this is a little heads up about that. But I hope that you enjoy this and have a fantastic week. And I will be back with you in 2 weeks talking about our How to Coach Yourself series. Namaste. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin. So I had mentioned that I was going to do a podcast with the director of the Art of Living programs, and the day has finally come. And I'm very excited to have Poornima Sharma on the show and to give you a little introduction. She is an Adjunct Professor of Nutrition and Dietetics Department from Appalachian State University. Poornima holds a PhD in foods and nutrition with a focus on research in obesity, diabetes, and iron deficiency. That's good to know because I want to pick your brain about that. She has taught graduate level nutrition programs in universities in India and the United States. Poornima has presented her work at various national and international conferences, and her research is published in international journals. Currently, Purnima is managing the Art of Living programs offered at the Art of Living Retreat Center at Boone, North Carolina, where I went, and I was so inspired by her. She also facilitates foundational programs like The Sky, Happiness, and Personal Meditation Retreats. And she told me up to about 250, 300 retreats a year, which is insane, but amazing. As well as advanced graduate level programs like silent retreats. She's also a 200-hour RYT, so that's a certified yoga teacher, and a facilitator for continuing medical education. She is also an Ayurvedic counselor, and her volunteer work also included offering stress management and rehabilitation workshops for refugees and correctional facilities. Wow. And there's actually a lot more. I just shortened it just a little bit because otherwise we'd be here for 3 days reading off her credentials. But thank you so much, Poornima, and welcome.
Hi, Erin. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yay. Thank you so much for being here. So I brought Poornima on because I did the Stepping into Silence retreat at the Art of Living Center in Boone, North Carolina. Probably it was about maybe like 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago. Time flies. And I was so inspired by her because she was so devoted to her students. And I always appreciate someone who is spiritual, but also has a sense of humor and knows how to bring fun, because that's when I feel like people really learn. So I really just want to say that I appreciated my time with you. And if you didn't know already, I was the one that was asking about like the kleshas and like all the like Sanskrit pronunciation, but you probably figured that out. So Poornima, every healer has a story. So what brought you to the Art of Living Retreat Center to start with?
I would say I happened to stumble into it somehow. There was little posting in a newspaper, and my mom said, "Hey, you wanna try this?" And I was little resistance to. My life was good, everything was all okay as per my understanding. That's how much I understood it back then when I was still, just coming out from PhD and starting to work, teaching at university. So I was like, oh, mom, I'm good, I'm fine, I don't need. But somehow I got into it, but I realized that was a turning point in my life. And I'm glad I happened to take the program.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, since my childhood, I had this sense that I'm here for something, uh, probably to take care of. I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, but that sense was there. I'm here for something higher. But what it was, when I did the program, it hit me home. It's like, oh, wow, this is it.
You
This
felt
is what I
it.
was looking.
You felt it.
That's like clean world.
Mm-hmm.
You reach home. This is how it was for me. Yeah.
Mm.
So my first program was in 2003, and it just touched me so much. I became an instructor, and since 2005, I have been facilitating programs every month, more than now every week actually. So it is so
Wow.
rewarding and very fulfilling. Yeah. So
Yeah.
because it has brought it, it's a journey, I would say, journey inwards. Where when you understand yourself more, you can help others more also.
Oh, yes.
Whatever your life is, everybody is going through that also in different flavor, different times, through different circumstances. But the essence of living the emotions, experiencing them is the same in some sense, right?
Yes.
Maybe intensities are different, but at the same time, it helps you to be more kind and compassionate and understanding as well.
Of course.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. I'm like, yes. So let me ask you. So, I lead yoga teacher trainings. We do 200-hour, 300-hour. And I find that when I lead those trainings, I go on the ride with my students. They go through, I call it like almost spiritual surgery, because we're doing asana, we're doing pranayama, we're following the 8 limbs. And we talk about feelings and we talk about what's going on in their lives. And I watch them transform. I watch them go through their darkness. And I know that you do all of this. And I can't imagine it's like almost every weekend you're doing this. So like, how do you ride that wave with them? Does it have an impact on you? Can you tell me a little bit about that? I'm very curious.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful perspective, Erin, you are bringing up. For me, if you have to take care of others, you have to first take care of yourself.
Mm.
You cannot do charity from an empty bowl.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and it is something like, if somebody is drowning who doesn't know how to swim, and you also don't know how to swim, but out of your good heart, you jump in the water. Now you need somebody to come to save 2 people now,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I realized is by practicing regularly what I have learned on the Sky program and then advanced programs, being in silence, the one you came for, and certain other practices, it has provided me emotional resilience. Before the program, I could see that I was getting affected by others' lives and emotions also. In one way, I didn't have many struggles in my life. Thankfully, I feel myself very blessed. At the same time, I realized that I just did not know how to deal with those emotions. Neither at home nor at school have we been told how to deal with our mind and emotions, other than shush it down, push it down, don't be
push it down.
Exactly, yes. And what to do with that emotion.
Right.
And that is what starts, designing our mind and life in general. It is the state of our mind that determines the quality of our life.
Absolutely.
I learned this from Sri Sri, yeah. And when after the, long story short, post-program, I realized that I wasn't getting affected by it as much. Either they were my emotions or others' emotions. I got that sense that a subtle understanding of how I can separate. I don't even have to separate, but having that filter between what I can let in and what I can choose to keep out. Like a coffee grains, you want the essence of the coffee, but you don't keep the grains, right?
That is a great analogy. I love these analogies you're throwing out. They're beautiful. So you started noticing that you could like hold space for others, but not get pulled into their story as much. And I think that, and you can probably relate to this as you're the type of person that I could see everyone kind of gathering around you after we would have like our sessions and asking you, because they could tell that like, you're approachable for one and you're loving, but also you have knowledge and answers. And so what I have students approach me and they say like, Erin, like, I want to like help people, but like, I get like so caught up in their story, or like they'll get the energy stuck on them. And so what do you tell students? You probably have students come to you and say something like this. Yes. They're empathic.
Yeah.
Yes.
For very first thing, we have to start dissociating between others' emotions and our own mind at the time. Just knowing that if you keep saying that, oh, I get affected,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? Attention, intention, manifestation. You're inviting that to happen to you. Yeah. You just know you are strong enough that nothing outside can affect you as much. You become the effector, and for that, your daily practice of your meditation, breath work, and yogic practices, they make you so strong from within.
Yes.
Your emotional resilience goes up. Your prana level, the subtle life force energy is high. Whenever we are not keeping our subtle life force energy, our prana or chi high, that's when I have noticed that we get onto others' stuff. It holds on to you. But these practices are like lotus flowers, lotus blossoms in the mud, but nothing sticks on it. So if somebody is getting affected by it, it's the only sign that they need to take care of themselves, go deeper in their own practice. And also, while talking to people who are going through rough time, keep your awareness on the breath, incoming breath and outgoing breath. Just keep offering to the outgoing breath whatever you think that you may be taking in from other people.
Yeah.
That is a simple way to save yourself.
I think that people underestimate the power of pranayama and, how much by our breath we detox. But if you go throughout the day, if we're going through something hard, or the breath that you taught, which is like, and then, when you come home after a hard day of work, you go, so our breath is constantly helping us to detoxify. And, in my studies of like yogic texts, it's, when the breath, when you can make that nice and even, then the cessation of the mind happens a little bit more. And then it's like the Yoga Sutra 1.2 about the Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, then we don't have the distortions. So that I find that for me, when I coach people, and if I feel like I'm getting caught in their story, yes, presence, breath gets you there. And then what happens, and I know that you have this ability too, is like you can really see them and see beyond their words. You can feel without hopping into their story and maybe know on a deeper level what's troubling them, maybe sometimes before they might.
Yeah, it does happen. Recently also in the retreat I just ended yesterday, the story was going on. When you resist, somebody is resisting and they're having a hard time, or just by looking at them. I have seen day one when people come and the last day of the retreat, such a huge transformation. And you see day by day how they're lightening up and, their face is glowing more, their smiles are getting bigger, their eyes are looking brighter.
Yes.
The whole persona changes. It's such an amazing testimony of what the breath meditation, awareness, mindfulness, or beyond mindfulness, the transcendental meditations can bring to you. I have noticed that definitely it has sharpened my observation, perception, and expression. And these are the three things on which our life depends on.
Can you repeat?
No matter what you want to do.
Can you repeat that last part one more time of what the life depends on? Because I think it's important for our listeners to hear.
Definitely, yeah. So I have noticed that the practices have enhanced my observation, perception, and expression.
It's beautiful.
And the whole life revolves around it.
Yes. Yeah.
So even to your own self, I'm not just talking about the life with other people. How you see yourself, how you observe yourself, that's what your life is going to become. Yeah. Mind is so powerful.
Yes, it absolutely is. And, all the main spiritual texts that I read, it always comes back to like managing the mind and then just using, I gear towards yogic tools because, for me, yoga saved me. I was struggling very much in my life with like, bulimia and like even some addictions, and yoga was the first thing that like I had a God experience. I just like felt my body, like all the pain disappeared in one moment, and I felt like that prana force through me, and I was like, what was that? And like we each probably have our story of that, but then like seeing people have this experience maybe on a more subtle level, or sometimes I'm sure profound levels of like, students like having awakenings. I bet that you get to see that probably often.
Yeah, definitely. Every program, every single person, even those who are holding themselves up and not like having a poker face outside. Like sometimes when you ask, how are you doing? You wouldn't see any expression, just a blank face or a poker face. But when they are sharing their experiences, like, my goodness, so much has happened with them. It's just that they were processing it internally.
Yeah.
We have not been into mindfulness as much from our childhood that we used to in ancient times. If we talk about Vedic or yogic times, all this was inculcated in the school system also. Even every household would have these practices. We have moved away as we have been getting civilized more, right? So more modernization, more sticking to the gadgets and screens and all of that.
Right.
So we do not get in touch with the reality, who we really are, and even if it matters, we have gone beyond that truth of our own lives. That's how I see it. And the more and more you come closer to yourself, I'm saying everyone has all the answers. Everybody's aware of what the problems are, what the solution is. It's just the courage to move forward with it. Finding that strength that whatever I will do next would be okay. If you are doing anything in rush and without a thoughtful process, that's when you get into trouble. But when you're really centered, and yoga and meditation and breathwork brings you to that centered space.
Yes.
That's when you move clear, and whatever you do, you don't regret at that time.
That's a good way to put it. So let me make sure I get to my questions. So may I ask, Poornima, what types of techniques do you teach at the Art of Living Center, and how do these techniques help people?
So at the retreat center, we offer a variety of programs that are offered through the Art of Living banner, and the flagship is the Sky Breath Meditation Workshop, also known as Happiness Retreat in terms of the retreat center. So currently, Retreat Center is the only place where we are offering in-person retreats, and otherwise for the whole, throughout the country, it is offered online via Zoom.
So just to be clear for those that are listening, the only space that's open right now is in Boone, the one that I attended. Okay, just wanted to make sure they heard that. Cool.
Yeah, Boone, North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah. So we offer retreats related to breath work. Each cell has its own cellular memory. And this breath work, especially the sky breath meditation, that really pulls out the toxins and impressions from that cellular memory. So that's how it can help to, any that genetic mutations have happened, or the epigenetics, basically. I would say rather epigenetics. Right?
Yes.
It helps with that a lot, subtly. You don't have to do anything. You just breathe in a certain pattern, rhythmic breathing, that has been shared with you on the program, and after that you get a daily practice that you can do. So that is the core flagship, and other than that we offer the yoga and meditation retreats also. And we are bringing even the advanced level of yoga techniques. I recently became an instructor for that also. We call it Shri Shri Yoga Deep Dive Retreat.
Oh, I love that name.
Yeah, shat karmas and cleanse processes through different ways, healing contractions, and subtle yoga. It's a different flavor to it, like 3 or 4 day program.
Does it have like Ayurvedic elements to it, or?
Yeah, there's some Ayurvedic element to it also. Yeah.
Oh, okay, like making a mental note.
I'm starting on Thursday till Sunday. So,
wow.
But we will keep offering,
Yeah.
So, other than that, we offer the advanced programs like silence program, and the one you took, this stepping into silence, is a combination of 2 programs. Happiness retreat and a silence program, combination, because many people would like to come and experience the silence, right?
Yes.
So in this program, we have inculcated gentle silence, gentle meditations, but starting with, breath work, because you might have noticed, right, Erin, that it had helped you to get deeper into silence and meditation part when you did your breath work first. Did it?
Yes, it did. And, I am a fan of Ujjayi, and I've done different pranayams, but rarely, for some reason, would I pair that up right before meditation. I think for me, I was just like, all right, let's get to meditation, sit down. Or the beginning of my journey, I would usually do yoga and then meditate. But I definitely went someplace transcendent by doing especially the Sudarshan Kriya, and then doing meditation. I was in some sort of inner cosmic space. Highly recommend though. Highly recommend for those who are listening.
Very well said, Erin. Actually, it had happened with folks who have been meditating for 30, 40 years from different schools of thoughts. When they did the sky practice, they were like, aha, what was that? My meditation practice is so much more deeper now, once I have inculcated the breath work to my meditation. So, it's kind of a complementary to each other. If we remember, we talk about the different levels of existence, right, on the program?
Yes.
The body, breath, and mind, right? So, breath work helps you to get deeper into your mind as well. It supports you, it cleanses it, So, in one way, if you want to understand, how we clean our body outwardly is by water, right? Breath is for the cleansing within the body and healing it and strengthening it, detoxifying it.
Right.
So that's how important it is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So other programs that we offer are youth programs. Kids at different age has their own, struggles in the mind. So if they learn at an early age, they can help themselves how not to be so angry, and if they got angry, what to do with it.
And what ages do you have? Just because my niece is 13, and so I would be curious about something like that for her. Is it a full day? Would it be a retreat, how the adults are set up, or how does that work?
So when we were operating fully, we used to offer week-long camps, sky camp.
Yeah.
For kids and teens, and they would be here learning the practices and doing other things like kids do in the camps.
Yeah. Kids.
But currently, because of the world we are in, we are offering online Sky Kids and Sky Teens. Sky Kids is for 8 to 13, and Sky Teens is for ages 14 to 17. After that, they can always do programs at university. We are present in more than 100 campuses, and many programs are going on in universities also. That's another different model we have.
That's so great.
Yeah. And I have also been facilitating programs for prison facilities, currently, for one of the West Coast penitentiary, we have been offering programs online. Everybody who is breathing, they need it.
Which is everyone.
If somebody's in the right frame of mind, they won't do something, that is not good for them or others, right? It's just something took over and they ended up being in that place, right? So we have taught, I think, more than 100,000 inmates so far throughout the globe. And then another stream is we call Project Welcome Home Troops. It's for veterans, those who have served in, many war areas. And that has helped, this practice has helped them releasing PTSD.
Yes.
Without trying to work on that, without trying to understand it, it just pulls it out. If I may share,
yes,
there was a nurse in one of my programs a few years ago, and she had served in 3 war areas, 3 war zones. And she was carrying the phantom pain from soldiers by amputating their limbs. She was part of that, healthcare for them, and she somehow got it. We were just speaking about how when we take others' pains and their stuff in ourselves. So she became disabled. For longest time, for 3 years, she couldn't move on her own. Her aches and pains were so much. She couldn't drive, she couldn't stand, she couldn't sleep well, and she was on medication, painkillers, nothing was helping. And she said, I have done many programs, many retreats. I'm just trying this one now and I'm done. I said, okay, just do one thing for me, that when I say let go, then you don't hold back anything. Do your best, do your 100% in the breathing, whatever we are saying here, and then see what happens. Erin, day 1, she went to bed, and morning, the next session, she said, you know what? I did not take any painkiller. This is the day 1 in so long that I have slept well throughout without any medication. And my pain is gone.
Wow. So
you never know what this practice can bring, what type of healing it can bring to anybody. So I have seen many healing experiences, either it is cancer or HIV or all non-communicable diseases or communicable, because most of the diseases in the world are psychosomatic in nature nowadays. I would say more than 90%, right? And breath is something that heals you deeper also.
Yes.
So we have taken it for granted.
Yes, it's so simple.
There is no way out. Yeah, we would not be living actually if breath is not there, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
it's like begins our life, right? Like the breath begins our life, and then the last thing we do is, breathe when we die. So that is really inspiring. I'm like, I just have all these like fun bubbles inside of me. I'm like, after this is done, I'm going to go on the website and like book my next retreat. Because it's also, like I, just listening to your story about, making sure that we give, or that we give back to ourselves. And I certainly like, I meditate, I do pranayama, I do yoga asana. And this last year, I was doing my practices, I've been doing them a long time, and I've had like ebb and flow of like getting more serious and then like getting more distracted. And I remember, I lost my mother last year, and I had to deal with a lot of like the selling of her house and a lot of extra responsibility. And I remember there was a little while where I just felt so overwhelmed, and I got mad because in my mind, I was like, I'm doing the work. I'm doing these practices. Like how come, I still feel this way? And it, in meditation, I kind of like said that out loud. And then in meditation, it came to me, it's like, well, honey, look at how much extra you're doing. So because you're doing that extra, you need to take care extra. And it was like clear as day. And in that moment, I was like, okay, my meditation time goes up. My yoga practices more. And then when I started doing that, then they were working for me. So for me, I needed to do like a little bit more and put more earnestness to it. And I feel like long term for people that want to help others, it's like, sometimes you're going to need a little bit more, like for example, a retreat, like going to the Art of Living Retreat Center, which is a beautiful, fantastic center. Highly recommend. Obviously, I'm biased. I recommend taking Poornima's course, but I'm sure there's other instructors that are very lovely. But it's such a nice reset too, to like get out of routine and like not have to cook and, kind of be taken care of, and then be able to do that deeper work and clear it out. Because sometimes I feel like even if you are doing these practices, that, life is unpredictable and sometimes more will come. And so taking a retreat maybe a few times a year, or at least once a year is like necessary for people.
Definitely. Very well said, Erin. Especially, I would say, caretakers.
Yes.
Caretakers for anybody. If it's kids or, anybody around. And it's not being selfish. Sometimes parents come and they think, oh my God, I've left my kids home. I feel so selfish. It's not that at all. When you go back, you are more present for them. And I have seen that time and again. When parents take the program and they do their practices, and somehow they slip from the practice, and kids ask them, hey mom, you need to do your practice. That has happened so many times, I'm telling you. And parents later on come and tell me, hey, my kids were fine when I was not there. So sometimes we take upon too much on ourselves, even though it is not necessary, even if it is not demanded. We create it, and not just the caretaking, everything else in our life.
Yeah.
We make it complicated.
I know.
It's becomes simple.
I feel like it's the egoic, the ahamkara part of our brain that's like, no, like you're so important. Like what's going to happen if you go away? The whole world's going to implode. I remember, now that I own 2 yoga studios, and I remember, the first year it's like having an infant. I think I was just so overwhelmed. And I remember I took my first vacation, and it was like the first time I had been away from my phone in the studio for like more than like 2 days. And I remember like the third day I was like, trying to like go and check my messages, and my partner was like, what are you doing? I was like, and like, I had to question myself, like, well, I just need to make sure. He's like, it's going to be fine. And wouldn't you know, I let it go in that moment. I came back, nothing had burned to the ground. Everyone was alive, and I was like, huh. And it was really good. So yes, caretakers, I feel like a lot of times they need to, it's hard, but recognize when you're depleted and please come and like take care of you. So yes.
Including the medical care industry as well.
Oh, yes. Especially these last 2 years. Yep.
Yeah, especially last 2 years, and otherwise also. They need it all the more,
Yes.
And being humans, who doesn't need it? Tell me.
Of course.
Yeah, so, yeah. And we offer programs for medical communities called Healing Breaths, and they get CME credits for this.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That is wonderful. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I hope somebody hears that needs to hear that. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the podcast and if it's helping you, please consider writing a review. You can go to iTunes or Google Play, go into the search bar and type in Thrive Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching, scroll down, and you can leave a review. This helps other people to find me as well as bumps us up in the search ratings. Also, this podcast is sponsor-free, so that means we don't receive anything for doing it. If you feel so inclined and this podcast is helping to support you and you want to return the favor and help to support any production costs of the podcast, feel free to give a donation to a Venmo link, Thrive Yoga Fit, or PayPal, Erin@erincoach.com. If you don't have the means, don't worry about it. We're not going anywhere. You're all good. But if you would like to give back, you can give back in those ways. Last thing, we have a coaching certification coming up, and it's 7 days of an intensive work. followed by a 3-month mentorship. You will not find another teacher that's more passionate and dedicated than I am to my students and their learning. And not just their learning, but the application and how they show up in their life. If you've been listening to this podcast and it's had a huge impact on your life, just imagine what it would be like to spend 7 intensive days with me and then a 3-month mentorship. You can check that out at thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Again, thriveyogafit.com/coach-certification. Thank you so much. Namaste.